For as little as $1 per month, you can support independent journalism by supporting Mieum Media on Patreon. That's mere pocket change to support quality local content creation. To subscribe, visit patreon.com/MIEUM Media. Thank you to all paid subscribers for helping to grow Mieum Media and for supporting independent journalism. Last weekend, No Tolls Connecticut hosted a protest on the steps of the Connecticut Capitol called S.O.S. Save Our State. Regardless of whether one agrees with tolls, the anti-toll movement seems to be gaining momentum. As the 2019 legislative session comes to an end in early June, how has No Tolls Connecticut grown as a movement? And what does the future hold? We went to the rally to find out.
It's very hard to motivate people. It seems to me, there's about 1,000 people here. It seems to me like there should be 10,000, 20,000. We are affected by toll. It's a tax, and they're not going to stop there. They're never going to stop pulling one more penny out of our pocket.
We started with 2 people, and this is what we have here today. I hope the Republicans take the House, the Senate, and eventually take the governorship. We've got to get rid of this doing business as usual, the status quo.
They just want more of our money, in my humble opinion, to hand out to special interest groups.
No Tolls Connecticut bills itself as a nonpartisan group dedicated to defeating plans to bring tolls back to Connecticut highways. But what I discovered when Mieum Media covered 2 anti-toll protests in March was that these rallies were anything but nonpartisan. Republican politicians were there, many people were advocating for conservative causes separate from tolls, and one man with a loudspeaker was even bragging that right-leaning Fox News opinion hosts would be covering the protests.
We're gonna be on Fox News!
As I mentioned at the time, No Tolls Connecticut evoked memories of the Tea Party protests in 2009. In its infancy, T stood for Taxed Enough Already, and the movement focused on conservative economic policy. But over time, it turned more into a hodgepodge of right-wing causes. Could No Tolls Connecticut be similar? At the Save Our State rally, partisanship seemed even more blatant than at the anti-toll protests earlier in the year. 94.9 FM, a conservative talk radio station, as well as the Connecticut Republican Party, both had tents. And it was clear from the crowd that this was more about conservative politics than just about tolls. Yet No Tolls Connecticut leader Patrick Sasser told Mieum Media that that's not how he views it. Do you see this as like the new Tea Party?
I don't know about that. I think it's just citizens that are just fed up. I'm not really looking to put a label on it or a political party on it. I think it's just taxpayers that are just fed up. And I think people recognize what tolls can become, but I wouldn't necessarily label it as any type of political party.
Both the speakers and the attendees wove a narrative, comparing debate of toll policy to war, and describing taxation as thievery, perpetuated by a corrupt Democratic Party ruling class.
This battle has been going on for quite some time. This isn't something new. This isn't something that just sprung out of nowhere. The battle of tolls has been raging for quite some time. The simple reason is they want our money. They want more of our money.
Money. It's all about the money and the power.
Because they're lazy and beholden to special interests.
I think Democrats like to spend a lot of money, and they always are trying to raise taxes and tolls a lot because they just won't rein in their spending.
I asked Patrick what he thought about the tone at the rally. Here's what he said.
Because it is Democrats on the other side of the aisle that are pro-toll, it tends to create that line of politics. It's not anything intentional, but it's, you know, that is the party that seems to be in favor of these tolls. Not all of them. Several of them have come out. Several of them have emailed me even that have said they are against tolls. So it's not the vast majority. It's the majority of them still seem to be leaning that way, but not all of them.
To be clear, political rallies are often high-energy events, and it would be unreasonable to expect organizers to take responsibility for everything that every attendee says or does. But after seeing a number of attendees comparing Ned Lamont to Adolf Hitler, Kim Jong-un, and other violent dictators, I had to ask Patrick for comment.
Now that's going too far. I would never refer to any lawmakers that way. Look, they have a difficult job to do. It's not easy. You know, they're elected officials. They're put in those positions by the people. I don't agree with those type of comments. If people are saying that, I would never agree to that kind of statement. No.
Unfortunately, not all officials there were so responsible. Let's back up. When I covered the rallies in March, I noticed that a number of anti-toll protesters were claiming that the 2018 gubernatorial election was illegitimate. What do you mean that he's robbed?
Well, just because there were some, what I would consider irregularities in some of the voting things that went on. There was a lot of mass swearing-ins at the last minute. There were people reportedly voting after hours. And I really think that somebody needs to investigate.
Yeah, he should have won. He gave up too quick, I think, because they were still making voters in Bridgeport.
The premise of these claims is that Connecticut cities, which are heavily black and Latino, conspired to rig the election and thwart the will of predominantly white suburbs. Seeing Bob Stefanowski himself at the rally, I figured that it would be a good opportunity to allow him to dispel some of these conspiracy theories. So, I've spoken to a lot of people today who were supportive of you and very devastated when you lost. It sounds like a lot of them believe the election was illegitimate and that you actually were the true winner had it not been for corruption. I was just wondering if you have sort of a statement about that.
Yeah, I'll stick by what I said the day after Ned won. You know, we need to look forward. I wish we had won. We came close, but he's the governor, and that's pretty much it.
On the surface, Stefanowski's response appears reasonable. But after reviewing the footage, I realized that he didn't really answer my question about the legitimacy of the election. All he said was that he acknowledges that Ned Lamont had won. So I followed up for clarification. So I was going over what we talked about before, and I just wanted to make sure that I completely understand your position.
Yeah.
So when I talked to folks and they said that there might have been foul play in the election, and you said, no, Ned's the winner, I just want to make sure that your position is that there was no foul play. It was a fair election.
All I can tell you is Ned won the election. It was certified by the state of Connecticut.
But do you think it was a fair election?
I don't want to comment on it. I think, you know, the numbers, it was certified. That's the end of it. Thank you.
Given that Bob Stefanowski is rumored to be mulling a second run for governor, and that his wife, Amy Stefanowski, was recently elected to the Republican State Central Committee, it is a bit jarring to hear him enabling racially tinged conspiracy theories. Certainly if Stefanowski, or anyone, has evidence of foul play in any election, it is his civic duty to report it. And if Stefanowski has no evidence, what reason does he have to decline to answer my question? Let's not mince words. No Tolls Connecticut is a conservative movement energized by anti-toll sentiment. But their real test will come in the aftermath of this legislative session. If tolls are passed, will No Tolls Connecticut stick around in an attempt to repeal or mitigate their effects? And if tolls are defeated, will they maintain enough support to make sure that tolls stay defeated? Or will they morph into a broader right-wing movement?
You know, I haven't even thought along that far of where it goes. Obviously, I think it would be a big setback for the state of Connecticut if they do pass or move forward with these tolls. I've made it very clear that their votes today on tolls could affect their elections next year.